It's Friday, January 10th, 2020. So another very interesting day on Wall Street today. Dow Jones finishes in negative territory, down 133 points. And what is shocking is that these markets can even close in negative territory due to the fact that the Fed is injecting so much money into these markets. But we were down 133 points today, but we had some real bad news, and these markets should have been down a lot more. Some of the bad news were the December job numbers. We got more bad news regarding the retail apocalypse, and we got some appalling news with regards to Boeing and what some of these employees were saying about Boeing. Absolutely appalling. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But just with this news right here, this should have crushed the markets today. Instead of being down 133 points, we quite literally should have been down probably closer to 1,000 points. But again, this is a prime example of this pure market manipulation that is taking place. I want to go over these job numbers. As I was watching Fox Business News this morning, they were already making excuses that even though we had 145,000 jobs created in December, the consensus estimate was 160. They were justifying it, saying, well, that was close. It was pretty close. And when you look at these jobs a little closer, if you actually do a little due diligence here, the news gets worse. When we look at the total December job gains, around 117,000 of the 145 were low-wage jobs. And you just have to ask yourself, how is this economy even functioning at this point when all we are gaining in the job market are these low wage jobs in these low paying industries? How is this economy functioning when the job creation here in America is nothing more than these $10 and $12 an hour jobs? And this just reinforces what you and I have been saying for quite a while now. This is why people have to work multiple side hustles. This is why people are working 2, 3, and 4 jobs, because all these jobs are paying $8, $10, $12 an hour, and people are barely getting by. So I don't understand how the number one, the biggest economy in the entire universe, the United States of America, how it's going to last on these low wage, low paying jobs. I don't understand it. We better start getting real jobs here in America. This is not going to keep this economy going. Again, this is a consumer-based economy. Consumers buying stuff with money they don't have. It certainly isn't a economy of manufacturing and making things or high-paying jobs. Manufacturing suffered its worst month in 4 years. December revealed big drops in some of the best-paying jobs, namely in manufacturing, transportation, mining. Mining actually shrunk in December. It doesn't matter how many jobs are being created. If these jobs are only $8, $10, and $12 an hour jobs, this economy is going to continue to be in very big trouble. And what is interesting, I guess it's not shocking anymore, but it's interesting, is that even though 80% of these jobs that were created in December were low-paying minimum wage jobs, it has no effect on the markets today. These numbers will have little effect on the markets as long as the Federal Reserve is injecting $100 billion a month into these markets. See, the markets don't care about the real economy. They don't care that you're working 2, 3, or 4 side hustles. They don't care that you're making $8 or $10 an hour. All they care about is that the Fed is going to inject $100 billion a month into them to keep them propped up. Manufacturing jobs were down by 12,000 in the month of December. Think about that. The holiday month, we didn't gain, we lost 12,000 manufacturing jobs, the second biggest drop since the summer of 2016. Black unemployment now has jumped up to 5.9%. And get this, hourly earnings rose to a disappointing 0.1% month over month in December. And they were only up 2.9% for the entire year. We know that real inflation in the U.S. is 8 to 10%, and it's probably closer to the 10%, yet wages are up 2.9% for the year. How is the average American going to survive? And more inflation is on its way in 2020. As I said earlier, all this money printing, all this quantitative easing is going to create more inflation. We are creating massive debt. Massive inflation is going to come to America. It's going to keep continuing to tick up, but we are going to see at some point hyperinflation come to America, stagflation come to America, and the average American is ill prepared for what is coming. I know most of you watching this are preparing. You're quite aware of this. You see it every time you go to the grocery store. You see it every time you make that rent payment check or that mortgage payment. You see it when you go and buy a car. You see it when you go and buy a pair of shoes. Inflation is skyrocketing. Anytime you go into any store, you're going to see inflation rising. And if you really want to get an accurate barometer, every week just look at the cost of things at the grocery store. And remember, you're paying more money and getting less. You're getting less quality, you're getting less cereal in that box, and you're paying more. The dollar is buying less, and you're going to continue to see more of it. So make sure you are protecting yourself. So let's look a little bit more at the details here on these job numbers. The slowest wage gain in 2019 in hourly pay was in construction, it was in manufacturing, it was in education, and health services, also leisure and hospitality. From November, mining and trade and transportation, pay actually declined. So what does all of this mean? Well, it's another bellwether telling you that the economy continues to slow down. So no matter what people are telling you on the television, what they're telling you at the office, or what your neighbors are telling you because their 401k is up, because the stock market is up, this economy is slowing down, and it is going to continue to slow down. You know, it doesn't even matter what the stock market is doing at this point. It doesn't matter where the Dow Jones closes. I know we touched 29,000 points today and everybody was just going crazy, but this is what they should be looking at. These are the numbers they should be looking at, not the Dow Jones. They should be looking at the real economic numbers here, the real employment numbers, the real hourly wage, the real inflation numbers, but they don't want to look at that. Retail apocalypse surges in 2020, no end in sight. This is on Zero Hedge today. As we discussed on the last show, Macy's closing 28 stores in 2020. And I was just at a mall a couple weeks ago, and please comment down below. Let me know what you think, what's happening at your malls, but they're empty and they're falling apart. It's really sad to see the condition of these shopping malls here in America at this point. I remember when there was so much pride in how beautiful and clean they were, and you can see the signs of this slowdown because the last few outdoor and indoor malls I've been to, they're just decaying. They're dirty, they're run down, they're falling apart. The paint is chipping off the walls. Stores like Macy's, they're dated. A lot of these malls and these stores are very dated. And it's going to get worse into 2020. So, we look at the Kohl's, we look at the Macy's, we look at the JCPenney's, we look at all these big retailers and the condition that they're in financially. They're in big trouble. But what about the mom and pop stores? We don't talk about them too much, and my heart goes out to them because if we're seeing this in these larger stores, these smaller mom and pop privately owned stores have got to really, really be suffering, and we're probably going to see a lot of them going out this year in 2020. Now, I want to talk a little bit briefly about this story that came out with Boeing. This was on Zero Hedge this morning. It's all over the news. I want to read some highlights here. This plane was designed by clowns who are supervised by monkeys. Shocking Boeing emails reveal contempt for management. Very, very shocking here. This should have rocked the stock market today. It did not. According to more than 100 pages of internal company communications, which were apparently withheld from the FAA during the certification process for the jet, Boeing employees could be heard mocking federal rules, openly discussing their deception of regulators, and joking about the MAX's potential flaws. Here's a quote from an employee right here. I still haven't been forgiven by God for the covering up I did last year. Market was only down 133 points today. This is absolutely appalling, disgusting, and there should be people held accountable here. People should be arrested for knowing what was taking place. Human lives have been lost, and there will probably be more human lives in the future lost by these Boeing aircraft. Really, really sad. And yet nobody even cares. Markets don't care. There is no accountability today, apparently, with Boeing. There's no accountability in financial institutions, the banks, the stock market. Everything is basically greed and illusions. So I'm going to leave it right there on this beautiful Friday afternoon. And I'm going to leave you with this. Make sure that you always use situational awareness. Make sure you are aware of your environment. There are many news sources reporting today that our law enforcement and our border agents are on the lookout for a suicide bomber who will be coming, through our backyard here, which, when you think about it, would not be very hard to do. So we don't know if it's one. We don't know if there are multiple individuals coming to America with bad intentions. But what we do know is there is another threat, and we should all be aware of this threat. We don't know if there is going to be a retaliation here for what's been taking place in the Middle East. Although things have seemed to calm down, we don't know what these people are thinking. We don't know what they're going to do, if anything. But what we need to do is always be vigilant. We need to be always aware of our environment, and we must always be using situational awareness. Also, I'm going to leave you with this also. Make sure you have balance in your life. There's a lot of bad news out there. There's a lot of negativity. But we have got to have balance in our life. We've got to take a break. Make sure you're spending time with your friends, your family, having a good meal, enjoying what God has created, enjoy nature. Get to the gym, get a good workout in, go for a good walk or a good run, and just enjoy life a little bit. We're not going to stop what's coming. We're not going to prevent what's coming. All we can do is what we can do. All we can do is prepare the best that we can for what is coming, so that we will be vigilant and that we're going to survive the outcome. But there is no way we're going to stop what is coming. We are past the point of no return. But I believe it's super, super important to not be paranoid, but to be prepared, to enjoy and have balance in our life. So, have a great weekend. Enjoy your time off. Enjoy your friends and family. And just enjoy what God has given you. And make sure that this weekend or every day that you thank God for everything He has blessed you with. The opportunities, a roof over your head, food. He's blessed you with family. He's blessed you with friends. He's blessed you with another day of life. And He's blessed you with the opportunity to be in this fight. So God bless every one of you. Thanks for watching. Make sure you share this video. Have a phenomenal weekend. And let's continue to pray for this country, because bumpy times are coming. Buckle up. It's going to get crazy.